Good morning, world. Good afternoon, world. It's moments past noon in Waxahachie, Texas, deep in the heart of the Lone Star State. Today is the 24th of June. It's the 71st episode, believe it or not, of Grit and Good News. And as always, we're broadcasting live from our palatial downtown studio in the shadows of the historic Ellis County Courthouse. If you haven't guessed by now, I'm your co-host, Jeffrey Michael Lynch. We got our man Sam back here at the board, capably. See them fingers there? All righty. And of course, to my right, our
Your
friend,
left,
your left, Scott Brooks.
my man, looking good as usual. Did you get some sun on the golf course yesterday?
I got it on the golf course. I got it. I should have had this. This is one of my 5 thoughts that I was going to use. I trimmed trees down at the lake with the long,
Yeah,
you pull it,
with
or
that.
you
Well,
cut
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
And as I've always said, getting it down's the easy part.
Hauling it
Getting it
off.
off is the hard part.
Yeah,
Yeah, I worked like a Dickens this
yeah,
weekend. I did. And I'm wearing
yeah.
yellow
That's so
in
cool.
honor of my late great mother, who always thought
She
that
liked yellow.
she liked
That's
me. She
awesome.
liked Jeff in yellow. So
Awesome. Thank you for being here. It is Tuesday. It is a very warm day out there. Warm yesterday on the golf course
did
too,
I
I'm
say
sure.
birthday? I meant to say anniversary of her death.
Oh no, you didn't say any
For,
either. Yeah,
for
you just
four,
said
4 years ago.
calendar.
Okay, all right.
But thank you for being here, Scott and Jeff and Sammy. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday from noon until 1 o'clock. We got a lot to talk about in every show, but today it's loaded, so we're going to get started. Before I forget, and I'll mention this at the bottom of the show, but we will not have a show next Tuesday. Sammy and I will be in Oklahoma City on some very important work that we'll be able to tell you all about, uh, hopefully in an exciting way next Thursday. So we will not be here Tuesday. But to get us started, let's talk about Sammy. Are you ready? Boom, 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 boom.
Is
The
that? Did I
NBA
hear some
Finals. That's
thunder
my
over here?
well. That was my shark coming
Drop to the
after him.
Thunder, not to Shea.
Yeah, give us a little bit of thunderstruck,
For
Sam.
everybody
Oh, I should have
listening,
had you play that.
we were 5 minutes into the game, and I already sent a picture to my dad about Shea's face whenever he goes to the basket. They showed a slow mo of it, and I was like, you know what?
You
Let's
know,
send a picture.
you're being a hater.
No, I'm not.
Thunder
What
Parade.
did
Yeah,
the face
Sammy.
say? Did he not
Oh,
have the will to win or what?
Well, he looked like he was yelling or something. But I mean,
Sammy's just bitter.
he always does those
You can't be
faces.
hating on people, Sammy.
I'm not going to
Yeah,
Thunder Parade.
Chuck says Thunder Parade.
I'm
We're
not
going
going.
to the Thunder Parade.
No, we're not.
My
We
man
are not.
David Chapman, who lives up in Oklahoma City, a great salesman, and I've known him. Actually, I trained him on his job in the late '80s. He wouldn't admit it, but in the late 1980s, no, he would admit it. He's done great things in his sales career, in his management career, and he's had Oklahoma tickets for a long, long
Oklahoma
time.
City.
Yeah. And he took me to a couple games in primo seats,
Yeah.
and I
They
know
rock
he,
the place there, don't they?
yeah.
They
Now,
rock it.
now
Uh,
this did
They've
they have
only
a
been there since 2008.
have they had a title before this? I didn't think so.
No, they've been deep into the playoffs. They
So, when
conference
you got
finals.
season tickets and you go year after year after year, game
Yeah.
after game after game, this is the payoff. Good
Well,
job, Chappie. Good job.
anyway, so my prediction once again was right, and my sons can never beat me at anything.
If
Whether it
Tyrese
be
didn't
whether
tear
it be
his
horse
Achilles,
or predicting things, they just can't wait. And as it relates to Sammy and I being in Oklahoma City, we do have a very important meeting regarding the Hannah Dillard case, which we're going to be talking about in just a few minutes. But uh, I, if it does coincide with the parade, we can go to the parade. We can go a little early next Monday.
I'd go.
And yeah,
I wouldn't wave at Shea though.
here's the thing, and don't tell Sammy, but I think he's starting to like
No, I'm
SGA
not.
instead of Steph Curry, because
No,
I've been
I'm
sending him all
not.
these videos about what a good kid he is and all this other stuff. He drives you know what he drives? A Honda CR-V or CRT, whatever it's called. Oh, a
He's a great guy.
2012.
I don't like how he plays basketball. You don't either. I know you don't.
I may not, but I don't like how most of them play basketball. Anyway,
Yeah.
we spent too long on that. So we got NBA's over, College World Series is over. I'm all for anybody. If you ever see me wearing a turban, it's because Iran's playing LSU. All right. Uh, I hate LSU with a passion, And so it's Coastal Carolina.
So that'd be the one time you would cheer for Iran is if
Yeah,
they're playing
exactly.
LSU.
So we got Coastal Carolina playing LSU. I'm all said it's a 1-0 game Saturday night. LSU, a great pitchers duel. Then on Sunday, they come out of the gate. It's an umpire that obviously in the first half of the inning and going into the bottom of the first inning, he was all over the place with strikes and being cocky and all this stuff. And the Coastal Carolina manager gets thrown out after complaining, and so does the first base coach. It was a brouhaha, and it's the World Series.
Yeah,
And
it's
this umpire made the game about him, not about the coaches. Sure. And had they played another game, had it gone to a game three, which is the best of three, he would not have been able to manage that game. You automatically, if you get a warning and then you don't stop, you get an automatic 2-game suspension. So those
So
coaches would not have been able to manage in the next game, much less
that
missing
that
the
was not
second game.
that was not. I mean, say what you say about the ump. That was not timely on that manager's
Well, I mean,
part.
it's
I
the
mean,
bottom of the first. He's all over the
let things
place.
settle in. Let him establish
Well,
his
he wants
strike
to.
zone.
Well, he felt like he was establishing it, and he didn't like where he was establishing it, so he was after him. And the ump just that fuse was maybe less than 45 seconds, 30 seconds. I mean, it was so fast.
didn't he knock over a ump too?
No, and they all came rushing in, and one ump tripped over another ump,
Oh,
but made it appear as though the coach kind of had pushed him
yeah.
down, and the coach didn't like that.
We're talking about regime changes. We're talking about dictators, all that type of
And
stuff.
umpires.
And umpire is the closest thing to a dictator in real life.
Hmm.
I mean, he's more a dictator than your boss is at your
Yeah,
job because your boss is reporting to somebody
yeah,
still, right?
yeah. An umpire is. I mean, that
And
umpire. I don't.
CEO is still reporting to shareholders.
Yeah, that's
But
right. I don't know what an umpire. Umpire has a. He gets his license through somebody. So maybe this umpire had a meeting. I don't. I'm sure they had a
well, he
meeting,
had to be
but
graded out well to get that job.
I guess,
That's
but
how they do it for all
that you just don't
playoffs.
do that in baseball, in my
No.
opinion. Anyway, so we got that. I also want to mention Waxahachie had its Battle of the Bands on Saturday night at Rail Yard Park. Um,
Did you go?
no, Sonia and I didn't go, but Sonia, when she found out about it, wanted to go, but we couldn't. But by all indications, it was a pretty good gig. So they're all kind of
Nice.
local bands that get out there and play, and
Nice.
Sonia likes some of them and that sort of thing. It's probably those
All
80
music live.
covers.
I love all music
No,
live.
no, no, 80s. You can take the 80s and stick it.
Well, I don't like the '80s, but I would enjoy
I
going to
think
see him
so.
live.
Yeah, yeah,
like
it's
all
fun
live
live,
music.
but it would have been fun,
I like hearing
seeing
the
people.
choir.
Sonia loves the 80s band, and when
When
they come
somebody
on,
knocks on your door to Carol, I like it.
yeah,
You
well,
know,
yeah, that's good. But when you have to listen to Vince Neil scream at the top of his lungs, or Tesla, my wife loves those guys, and I took her to see Tesla, and that's why I got tinnitus or tinnitus, whatever you call it, uh, hearing this noise in my ear ever since that Tesla concert. I mean, it was crazy. So anyway, the one last thing, Nick, the Goats column tomorrow in the Sun is about the train derailment. I think the city handled it marvelously. There were 16 trains that became derailed. 14 of those trains had ethanol, I believe, in them. Certainly not something to mess around with. So the family, no, I'm just reading family. The city handled it really well, and so I congratulate the
and
city.
Union Pacific, you got to give them
Yeah,
their
they're in my
uh,
column, or in the column as well.
and boy, to get that cleaned up in the
Matter
middle
of
of a
days.
city is
Yeah.
really tough. And did you see the tornadoes? I think Sunday night in North Dakota.
Mm-mm.
They came sweeping across North Dakota, and then northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin,
Hmm.
up in Upper Peninsula, Michigan. That's a long way to go. But they took down a train with over 100 cars on it, all down, and they showed a picture where there's a group of about a dozen of them that have got gotten thrown about 20 yards
That's
from the
crazy.
track.
The power of a tornado is amazing.
Yikes.
Chuck went to the Battle of the Bands, had a good time. That's good to hear, Chuck. We want to go to that. We didn't know about it in time, but we ended up going out to dinner at Capizano's. We hadn't been there forever. It was really good. So anyway, that's the latest on some updates. Let's talk about.
Quick number 71. Won't
Oh
take
yeah,
us
do we
long.
have any? It's 71, number 71.
Yeah, we are in the
Oh, Evgeny,
yeah,
Evgeny.
you got
Yeah,
Yevgeny Malkin.
yeah,
We're in the dog days of jersey numbers here. And I like the story about how he got it. You know what nationality he is?
yeah. He's Russian,
He's
isn't he?
Russian.
Yeah.
He's a little boy, and he's gonna go get on this team. There's an older boy he saw on the team, um, and he saw the 71, and he knew he couldn't have it. And he thought, well, 11 looks like 71.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Um,
Um,
Mark 2-A in football.
yeah. Mark Tomei.
We got a shutout in Major League Baseball. We got a shutout in the NBA. Short
Yeah,
list. We're done.
I don't know who those would be. Sammy, if you were going into the NBA right now, what number would you want?
If it was available, I'd take 5.
Yeah. If you were going into the NHL right now, what number would you take?
5 or 55. I played in both of them.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
also like number 2. Number 2 looks really good on a jersey.
Yeah.
I don't like
Plus
0,
it's your IQ.
and I hate number 1. Don't you hate guys who go number 1?
Yeah,
Well,
they're
who do
normally
you
they're
think
divas.
your ass is? Pardon my
Normally they're divas.
divas. Yeah,
Although there are some goalies in the NHL that use one.
that's the exception. It's
Yeah.
okay for goalies.
I've never seen a non-goalie with the number 1 in the NHL ever.
No,
That probably
No.
isn't one.
but you see it in football some.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
All right. So over the weekend, not that it certainly wasn't a dull weekend here in Texas or in Waxahachie, and it certainly wasn't a dull weekend in the Middle East.
No, sir.
If you happen to be out at a movie Saturday night in Iran and got home a little late but early the next morning, you were starkly surprised. So we had Donald Trump and this administration pulled off what is being described, and so far I have no reason not to believe. Excuse me, I said I wasn't going to yawn, but stayed up too late. Sorry, folks. But this decision of this strike, this bombing, this attack, whatever you want to call it, it's not a war, so we're not going to call it that.
Because
And
we choose not to call it that.
well,
but
and we're
kinda.
going to talk about it in just a minute why it's not a war, but the precision. So I know most of you watching have seen already probably all the talking heads talking about it, but I'm going to go just a little bit deeper on what these pilots had to do. First of all, I was listening to a talking head the other night said this likely in terms of the intelligence in the military has been something on the books or on the planning stages for 10 years.
I heard that.
And that and so obviously with different administrations that you you have to the military and the intelligence teams have
And
to
how
say
has
here's the
that not
plan.
leaked?
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's the plan regardless of who's in office. We just got to get the approval of the person in office, and when the timing's right, we'll pull this plan off. So the Trump's the right person obviously in office. Trump has made it clear ever since he took office in 2016 that Iran has got to be stopped with respect to its nuclear weapons. And Trump, as he's done with nearly everything else, whether it infuriates half the world or not, he is going to live up to his promises, and this is one of them. Hey Terry, welcome. Uh, he has said and lived up to making sure that Iran would not have nuclear capabilities. And I'm not smart enough and detailed or researched enough to know how all that uranium enrichment stuff works and what 60% is versus 90% and so on and so forth. We're going to play some clips here in a minute that do talk about it, particularly with Marco Rubio. But to think about these pilots who they were selected. Imagine being these B-2 bomber pilots, and they walk into a room, and there were I think 6 B-2 bombers, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 to 8. So there are 8 to 16. I mean 16, 14 to 16 pilots that we're talking about.
Right.
So they come into a room and they say, Sammy, Jeff, and Scott, we've selected you guys. You'll maybe a couple of you be together, but you'll be with the other guys. But we selected you as part of the group that's going to fly these airplanes from here to Iran
And back
and back,
in one trip.
all in one trip, all never touching the ground. in the middle of darkness. They got back. If you saw them land on Sunday, they got back in the afternoon in the sunshine in Missouri. Uh, they would be telling us that we're going to sit in these cramped quarters because the B-2 bomber, unlike the B-2 bombers of old, where there's big old massive airplanes that could, lift anything pretty much that you could stand up in, walk around in. These B-2 bombers are stealth bombers, and you can't stand up in those things, I don't think. And if you can, it's barely. And if you're tall, then you're probably not going to be able to stand up. So these guys sit down in that seat on it was 12:01 Sunday morning. Was it Sunday morning? Yeah, because maybe they came back yesterday. I can't remember what the actual days were. It must have been yesterday, or it could have been maybe it was 12:01 Saturday morning, and they took off. They sat down in that seat, and they have a toilet, they have a microwave, and they have a refrigerator, and they are in the air for 36 to 37 hours. And that alone is a task unlike any average person wouldn't be able to undertake. I mean, I'm on a 2-hour flight or 3-hour flight to Buffalo, and I'm about to freak out because I can't stand being on that enclosed for that long uh, in the air. And yet these guys were stuck in I saw pictures of a cockpit, and you got all the fancy stuff, and these guys, you could see both of them. They're as close as you and I. And what do you do? It's midnight black. There are no lights except for the lights on the airplane, and when you get closer to the enemy land, you don't have those on, right?
Right.
So
And do you think those guys were more thrilled or honored? They were both.
I think
And
so.
that
I
they,
think
it's
both.
just like the athlete at the big game. This is what we live for.
That's
I
right.
want to be, and I want to make the winning putt to win
Yeah,
the U.S. Open. I
no
mean,
doubt.
they thrive on that type of thing.
They had, the thing about that too is chances of them being known outside of the Pentagon, who they were, are slim to none.
Right.
I mean, I doubt that they want their names and the names of their families, or they don't want anybody that might want to kill
That's
them
a great point.
for knowing who they are. So they get the thrill of their lifetime incognito, in a sense.
Hmm.
It's like when the guys that killed Osama bin Laden, they eventually came out and said, "I'm the one that did it," or "We are the ones that did it." But these pilots, the chances are, well, these guys are taught not to seek that kind of bravado. And
Loose lips
yeah,
sink
so
ships.
we got that the pilots get in these planes, some of them go west, which is just phenomenal strategy. Go west to throw
And they
off.
announced it. They
Yeah,
announced that we're staging them in Guam. Did you hear
yeah,
that in
yeah.
advance? Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So the Iran knows that planes are flying west to Guam. Trump came out on Friday, if you remember, and Thursday, I think, but said we'll give them 2 weeks. We've decided to give them 2 weeks.
and on that Thursday show, we did mention we thought there was a little subterfuge to
We
that.
both said
We both said it.
that it would by the weekend this would be decided. Uh, and then Trump was saying we decided to give them 2 weeks, and they got to make up their minds in 2 weeks, knowing full well that within hours we were headed there. So we fly west as a diversion. The guys fly east, which is I don't know if you saw this, but the flight going west is about double the flight going east to get to the same place. So how that all played out and they get there at the same time was just an amazing thing to me. Uh, but the strategy that says this is how we're going to do this,
Hmm.
we're gonna fool them, pardon
Yeah,
the basic terms here, but we're gonna pull them. We're gonna play hide and
it's like
seek.
when Washington in the dark
Yeah,
brought his guys across
right.
the Potomac,
And so we get over there. We've got
beat
a
the bloody
submarine,
British.
nuclear submarine that shoots 30 missiles or 20 missiles, ballistic missiles into Iran to do the pre-work, to
Soften them up. Yeah.
yeah, to lay the groundwork. And then our guys with precision drop these 30,000 pound bombs. You know how many tons that is? 15
Yeah.
tons. So they got two of them on each of these B-2 bombers. They drop them into uh, more than one of them went into the same hole, but they send one into the hole, then they send another one so that it'll go deep. The first hole will have made a deep deep hole, and then the second one will go deeper.
And
That
then
hole,
they explode in the hole. They penetrate first.
they penetrate and they
Yeah.
explode vertically and horizontally at the same time. I was listening to J.D. Vance the other day, who said that the precision of those bombs in terms of the space that m- they are supposed to land on is the size of a washing machine.
Mhm.
So, and it's pitch black. I don't know how many thousands of feet they're up in the air, uh, in a foreign land. And no shot was ever fired at those B-2 bombers. That those B-2 bombers never touched the ground. There was never any need for any more refueling than one had already happened, which was on that trip there and back, one way. Those had to be refueled multiple times
Right.
from the air.
Right.
And imagine doing that in the middle of the night. You're flying an airplane that's the refueler, and as you've seen before, those refuelers have that apparatus that brings down a pipe,
Right.
uh, and kind of like a hose, but a hardened hose, so it won't sway in the wind, and then goes right into the gas tank of the B-2 bomber. Not to be remedial here, but that's what happens, and loads it up with gas.
And I'm not a big plane guy and never been a big car guy, but I gotta tell you, that's the most bad to the bone looking plane you've
It is a
ever
bad to the
seen, isn't
bone.
it?
It is a bad to the
Oh
bone
my
looking plane.
gosh.
And so they pull it off and get back, and I assume those pilots debrief whoever they need to debrief, and then go home, have dinner with the family. I mean, it's incredible
How
to me.
about the subterfuge at the base in Missouri? You know that story?
Uh-uh.
Well, there was the place was, the gates were closed, locked up days in advance here. And it said closed for 2 weeks for repairs.
Oh, while they got ready. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
No,
awesome.
so those guys had to be the people that were, I mean, I don't know if the base was still full of people or you don't just evacuate your
No,
base full of people, but
no.
no, we're closed.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned it anecdotally there a second ago about no leaks. So,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about in our third segment here the response across the world, politically, religiously, sports, and in flyover country, the response to this. But people in Congress, I don't know if you saw our uh, what a Jasmine Crockett said. Did you see her clip? I didn't. I don't have it today, but did you see where she said, "We are supposed to be told. We should have been told." The last person I want to tell anything.
Constitutional expert
I don't want to
Jasmine
tell
Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett what I'm wearing tomorrow, much less tell her that we're about to bomb the you know what out of Iran. That's the way leaks get out, and it's a shame. I told Sonia the other day, I said it's a shame that our own people are the ones we have to keep secrets from, because they're the ones who will do the leaking. It's awful, and we're going to show some videos of the various responses, but um, I wouldn't. She's the last person I would want to give any information to. So anyway, it's just an incredible thing. I don't know what anybody watching thinks about it. I can guess as to what most of our viewers uh, are thinking about the attack and the what Trump said it obliterated their nuclear facilities. We'll find out more as they do all their post-attack investigations. But it's just an incredible experience. I can't picture any president in my lifetime, including Reagan, who would have done this. And George Bush at the time when he said we're going over WMDs and all that, I was in favor of it and liked him and all that. I think it got completely away from him, and we ended up in a 20, 22, 23-year war, whatever it was, or still is maybe in some respects. But uh, Trump Trump was made for this, and in my view, and it came
In,
off
in my
flawlessly.
in my life, tell me if this is in your life. This is the first time a military operation has ever actually thrilled me.
Yeah. And so, let's I want to reorder things here,
Yeah.
Sammy. So let's just talk about that. So the thrilling aspect of it, we have people in this country, most of them Republicans, that say what you just said. We are
Right.
thrilled with this. We're going to talk about those in just a second. But I want to play a couple of videos for you. There are three of them. Sammy, let's play clip 3 first. This is no, actually, I don't want to. I don't. Yeah, clip 3. Let's play. This is Marco Rubio and Margaret Brennan, who is the person at CBS. I think it's Face the Nation, who constantly acts like she's an expert on everything. That's her. And she got taken to task. If you haven't seen this, it's a great video showing how the media tries to be what they aren't, and a bold, strong Secretary of State giving her the what for. But this kind of sets up why it is that Trump did why he did. Got it, Sam? Okay.
That the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization.
That's irrelevant. I see that question being asked in the media. That's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have
that is
everything
the
they need
key
to build a
point in
weapon.
U.S. intelligence assessments. You know
No,
that.
it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's
that
not.
The political decision had
well,
not
I know
been
that better
made.
than you know that, and I know that that's not the case.
But
you don't
I'm
know,
asking you
don't
whether
know
the
what you're
order
talking
was
about.
given.
And the people who say that, it doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons. Because they can quickly make it 90. They have all the elements. They have. Why do they have a space program? Is Iran going to go to the moon? No, they're trying to build an ICBM.
No, but
so
that's a question. That's a question. That's a question of intent. And you know, in the intelligence assessment, that it was that Iran wanted to be a threshold state and use this leverage. I'm talking about the public March assessment, and that's why I was asking you if you know something more from March.
But that's also an inaccurate representation of it. That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program. So why would you enrich uranium at 60%? Right. If you don't intend to one day use it to take it to 90 and build a weapon. Right. Why are you developing ICBMs? Why do you have 8,000 short-range missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long mid-range missiles that you continue to develop? Why do you do all these things? They have everything they need for a nuclear weapon. They have the delivery mechanisms. They have the enrichment capability. They have the highly enriched uranium that is stored. Yes. That's all we need to see.
Right. Well,
especially in the hands of a regime that's already involved in terrorism and proxies and all kinds of things around. They are the source of all this
Yes, and no one's
disputing.
No one's disputing that. I'm not doing that here. And they were censured at the IAEA for that enrichment and for violating their non-proliferation agreement.
There you get the response from the left, which I include the media in that. She's saying that there was why did we do it? Because there was she calls the Ayatollah the supreme leader, which is what they call him.
Right.
But the respect, I don't think that guy deserves any respect. But she calls him the supreme leader, has said there is no weaponization of our nuclear facilities and our efforts. And so she's saying what many on the left, particularly in DC, are saying is that
because he says that it's the truth.
Yeah, he said we don't have any intention of weaponizing it, which means we don't have any intention of building these nuclear weapons to the extent we can send them across the world and kill massive amounts of people. And Rubio is not to be messed with. You got Kash Patel, you got Pete Hegseth, you got Gabby Tulsard, you got certainly Trump, but you've got Rubio and the other. They don't take it from the media. They don't sit there and just get bullied. He told her she didn't know what she's talking about, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. So, but that's the response from certainly the media, the mainstream media,
Right.
other than at Fox. But it's basically saying, wait a minute. They have these places in these mountains, underneath these mountains, the depth of a football field, but they're not doing anything nefarious. It's a joke. And so the response is just infuriating. And so when you see people, AOC has come out and said that Trump should be impeached because he did not consult Congress. Jasmine Crockett said the same thing. Other people in Congress and the Senate, the same thing, that Trump did not seek approval from Congress to do what he did in the span of 2 days, and which does not constitute a war. Matter of fact, if Trump, I don't know if he's just doing it to aggravate or if he's actually wants to call it the 12-day war, but there was no act of war with respect to what Trump did, in the sense that it was when I put troops on the ground. to constitute a war, you got to have troops on the ground and frankly, I did see a talking head say that troops in the air don't count as credible acts of war. But I read a couple of things over the weekend to make sure I knew whether that was true or not, and it's not true that pilots and those using air tactics are considered troops as well. So, but in this case, it's not an act of war. Sammy played clip 1. I want to give you an example of just how hypocritical this is from those on the left. You're going to see lady in green right there, what Hillary Clinton had to say, and I don't know what year that was, but listen to this.
When this debate is over, we need to come together to ensure that this president and the next president have the tools, resources, and support to send a clear message to Iran. Cheat, and you will pay. And when you threaten the region and Israel, you threaten America. We will keep confronting you on human rights and terrorism, and make no mistakes, we will never allow you to acquire a nuclear weapon. Not just during the term of this agreement, never.
Thank you, Sam. So in 1979, my first recollection of Iran getting out of hand, prior to 1979 or 1978, Iran was a far more dynamic country. For those that weren't around then or a lot younger, Iran was a dynamic country. It had an economy. It was an ally. Remember the Shah of Iran? He sought exile. He got exile when they ran him out of there. And then the Ayatollah and this regime took over in 1979. In 1979 and 1980 is when Carter was in office, but leaving office. We remember when, can't remember how many I think 50 something hostages were held for 444 days in Iran. It took Reagan coming into office to free those. He did it almost immediately, if you remember. So we've now, since 1980, essentially seen this Iranian regime be what it is today. It's just only grown more fierce. But in that time, we've had how many presidents? We can count. So we got Reagan,
HW.
Then we had Bill Clinton for 8 years. Then we had George Bush for 8 years. Then we had Obama for 8 years, and we had Biden for 4. Not a one of them did anything to stop Iran from building a nuclear weapon. And now we see what Trump comes in and says, well, over all these decades, we've allowed this to continue and this program to be built, and now it stops with me. And so it stops with me is the same thing. Hillary just said it. And Sammy, play clip number, the last clip number 2, and you're going to see more of them saying the same thing. And no one ever did anything about it.
Is clear. We will not allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon.
If I'm the president, we will attack Iran. Whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that.
Make no mistake, a nuclear-armed Iran is not a challenge that can be contained. It would threaten the elimination of Israel, the security of Gulf nations, and the stability of the global economy. It risks triggering a nuclear arms race in the region and the unraveling of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. That's why a coalition of countries is holding the Iranian government accountable. And that's why the United States will do what we must to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
As long as I'm President of the United States, Iran will not get a nuclear weapon. I made that clear when I came into office.
And look, I mean, Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? And what we saw in terms of just this attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles, what we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
So if you have proof that...
Can you imagine?
Is that the same clip that I saw the other day? Then he says, well, so what would you say to Iran?
Don't. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
evident, and
Yeah.
Biden had said the same thing.
Yeah.
So she was
Yeah, that now infamous interview where it
Oh,
was
that,
edited and Trump
oh,
is
that
suing
one.
them.
Yeah.
But not one of those presidents. And again, you could have thrown. I love Reagan. I mean, second to Trump, he's my most favorite president. And he really didn't have enough time. I mean, he was in office until 80. Well, maybe he did have enough time, but that was at the very beginning of this regime building this nuclear capability. But the rest of these presidents, including Daddy Bush and Son Bush, they didn't do much of any. They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so, but the very people that we just watched talking about how Iran will never have a nuclear weapon are now those who are saying Trump should not have done this, that it was wrong what he did. It's incredible.
And those were some clear-headed thoughts by clear-headed people.
Yeah.
You can say what you want about Hillary, but she's clear-headed about a lot of things. But
Mhm.
what it points out to me is the contrast that's happened ever since the election, and that is this: those were Democrats in office making those statements, right?
Mhm.
And the Democratic Party has changed so much. It wasn't full of crazy liberals
Well,
the
yeah.
way it is now. And that's what's happening is that these people that are critical are far and away liberals
Yeah.
and far and away people that just like Jasmine, just like AOC. It's not so much about creative ideas and plans. It's all about bashing of Trump. And whatever he says, if he says, I gotta go to the bathroom, give me a second when I go to the restroom. But people criticize him for going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it is.
You know?
I liken this to, you've seen these teen shows and stuff where a girl is up for cheerleader and she's got a rival, and her rival doesn't want her to be cheerleader, so she does everything to sabotage her and that sort of thing. Whereas if she were to support her, she's probably supporting her own herself, and both of them will likely make the cheerleading squad. That's much like what's going on today. It's all good for these folks to say this, and it's good for the left when they had somebody in office. But now that Trump's the one pulling the trigger, it doesn't matter if it sets the world free, and it takes the threat, which it does. It sets the world free. Do you know that Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis in Syria, I don't know if they're in Syria or where they're, Lebanon maybe. None of those, what they call proxies that Iran has used, has come to their defense.
And none of
And
the big boys either.
yeah, and so Iran is just out there on their own. This is good for the whole world, and yet we have Democrats, and I'm tired of feeling guilty. I don't really feel guilty, but thinking twice about whether or not I need to say anything about a Democrat or blame a Democrat. But that's too damn bad. The Democrats are out there pulling against America because of the disdain for Trump.
Right.
Trump is doing what for decades should have been done for this country, and now we ought to all be celebrating it. It's as simple as that.
Do you think for 1 minute, 1 iota, 1 second, that Donald Trump would do this without having the experts dig deep into constitutional law
Yeah.
and say, do I have the right to do this? Is this within my powers? And there's the War Powers Act,
Right.
and there's defensive actions, and I wish I'd thought to bring it or knew where to find it. But when this was all going down on Saturday night, and we're watching, and now it's about 11 o'clock at night our time, and I'm dragging, but they're
Yeah.
putting up this list
Right.
of all the offensive things that Iran has done in the last 40 years, 50 years, whatever the time frame was. I think there were 15, and they were all atrocious, and they
Yeah.
were all lethal, and they were all
Barbaric. Yeah.
against innocent people that had
Right.
never done a thing to hurt Iran,
Right.
and roadside bombs against people. I mean, Trump would not have done this if it wasn't in his constitutional powers. And you got all the loose wings that are just spouting because they hate him.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sad. It's
It is
sad.
sad. And real quickly, I just want to tell you from the sports world, we have just by example, we have some that are out there after Trump. One of them is Robert Griffith III, played at Baylor, believes Trump. Let me just give you a quote. Robert Griffith says, Donald Trump just started World War III by bombing Iran. Pray for us all.
Robert, go play ball.
Yeah,
Play ball,
Robert
dude.
needs to just shut up. I mean, this is not a war. This will not be World
However
War
many
III.
of them you're going to give, I'm just going to say play ball.
Well, I'm not. We don't have much time for me to
Good.
give all of them. But Ryan Clark, who's on ESPN and just runs his mouth, posted on the 21st, which was Sunday at 9:21 p.m. Grocery still high than a BIH2. So he's blaming Trump for essentially being preoccupied with taking out Iran, and we're suffering because some groceries are higher than normal,
Do
which
you
isn't even
think,
true.
wait a minute, do you think that all of the grocery price increase happened under Biden? And
Yeah.
it's one thing to level it, getting it
Yeah.
ever go down.
Yeah, it's
Forget
just
about
silly.
that.
On the other side of the aisle, so to speak, Auburn men's basketball coach, which I never thought I would say I'd like anything about Auburn, but I do like Bruce Pearl, was very much in favor of the move, sending a message to the twice elected Republican commander in chief that his actions were courageous and that he quote prevented a war, close quote. Quote, thank you, Mr. President, for your strength and vision, keeping us safe, proud of our troops. You did what no one has had the courage to do for too long. You were patient and clear. Pray for peace through prosperity in the Middle East. Expand now on the AA. You prevented a war, close quote. Bruce Pearl is Jewish. So there you have a bit of the spectrum on the athletic side, sports world. On the religious side, I think most, particularly in the state of Texas, Jack Graham at Prestonwood Baptist Church, which is about 50,000 members. We're not warmongers here in America. We try to stop wars, and that's what our president wants to do. He wants to bring peace, but peace comes through strength. Graham told his 50,000 member congregation over the weekend, quote, you cannot allow the primary sponsor of terrorism in the world to have a nuclear weapon. You just can't allow that to happen. Then others in the Metroplex, Jeffries and John Hagee down in San Antonio, that church there, all of them are supporting what Trump did. And then we don't have any time really to go over these polls. There's an in-depth poll, which I think, Sammy, I want to send you the link. We'll post it on Grit and Good News on our Facebook page, but it talks about what Flyover America or what whoever the poll sampled thinks of this. I will tell you that most Americans, depends on how the question's asked, but most Americans, more than a majority, which could be 51% versus 49, but more Americans don't like the idea of this happening than do. But I think those are responses in the context of us going to war, which I don't think. Look, Trump said it. If they retaliate or anybody retaliates over there, what do they expect now? You want to try to take us into a war? It will be a very, very short war. If Trump would have been president in 2001, we would not have found ourselves in a 20-year war. And look what he's done already to the groups I mentioned: Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. That none of them are coming to the rescue of Iran. They don't want any of Trump, is my take on it. So that's there's a lot there, but I think what happened over the weekend is something that's been needed to happen since 1979, 1980, which is a long time.
I got one little loose end needing to be tied up because it scares me. And today I finally saw it on the news, the clip. But you heard the talk of maybe in the lead up to this, when they thought this is maybe really going to happen, that they were taking and hiding their enriched uranium. Did you hear anything about this, Chatter?
I heard that they might be taking it to other
To
geographies.
other places.
Yeah, right.
Then I see the satellite shot. They've got 16 semis all lined up outside the entrance to that mine or wherever that stuff is. Okay.
Yeah.
And they said the amount of uranium that they have would fill up 10 of those 16. Okay. Now, if we've got that on satellite, don't we know where it went? And more importantly, don't we know if they loaded it up? I mean, I can't imagine you could load up a semi with uranium if you can take a picture from a satellite,
Yeah.
16 trucks, you can take a picture of the load up.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's the rest of this story? This is a missing part of the story that we need to know.
Well, yeah, assuming the story is accurate, if there's not a follow
Well,
up, then
I saw that. I saw it.
Yeah,
I saw the
yeah.
16 trucks. You don't just line them up outside
Was
of a
that
mine for nothing.
before the bombing, or
Yeah, it was before.
Yeah, so I mean,
They weren't there
I
when the
think we
bombing.
know
They
when,
were gone. The
yeah.
question is, did they get loaded or not?
I think Iran now knows that we know where everything is, including Trump said the other day to the supreme leader, so to speak, we know where you are.
You know, you've
We
answered the
know
question
where
for
you
me
are.
because I guess if we have, and that's why they haven't shown us, if we have shots of the trucks there and we don't have the shots of the loading, if it did load, we do know, and then we do know where it went. And so they're just sitting
I
on
think
that one.
I feel
I
extremely
like that.
confident.
I
I mean,
like
if we know if we know
I
enough
hope
to do
that.
what we did on Saturday, we know where the Ayatollah is right now, and he knows where we know
Right.
that they cut the head off the snake, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean baby ones won't pop up, but their heads will be cut off too. All right, so there you go. I think we're going to wait and talk more about the Hannah Dillard case next week.
When you got a real story to tell.
Yeah, so we'll skip this Thursday. We'll be here Thursday, but we're not going to have it as a topic. We'll wait until Sammy and I are back from Oklahoma City. So a week from Thursday, we'll talk about the Hannah Dillard story, the update. There's a million pieces to it. It is going to be, in my view, it's a big story already, but I think as more and more well-known people get involved in this, that it will become even better known, and it's a wrong that needs to be righted. All right, you got a quote? I mean, a poem today? Oh, you got your thoughts for today?
I got my 5 thoughts.
Yeah,
And
let's hear it.
At one time, I begged you and Doug. I think Sam was part of this begging. I said, we need a little more fun in this show. We need to do comics because I love reading the comics in the paper every day. I got voted down 3-0, but I think occasionally when I got my 5 thoughts, I'm going to throw
Lay it
in.
on it.
I'm going to throw in it. So I'm going to give you my 5 thoughts. I'm going to tell you. One is by Jeffrey Michael Lynch. 3 are from the comics, and 1 is from Thomas Edison.
Okay.
You need to tell me which ones aren't from the comics.
Okay.
We open with silence is underestimated.
That's not from the comics.
That's Thomas Edison, and he knew he needed a hearing aid, and he didn't want to have it because listening to other people interfered with his thoughts.
Imagine that.
How come eggs don't taste like chicken?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I don't know.
That was from our man Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Saying and doing are 2 different things.
Comic and
Jeffrey
Michael. That's good. Saying and doing are 2 different things.
Saying and doing are 2 different things.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess that means there's 2 left from the comics. In today's comics, in the greatness of Family Circus with all those little kids, for little Dolly, she's got this deck of cards out, and she's explaining these cards to the kids, and she says, "This is the king, and this is the queen, and this is the prince. His name is Jack." And then Dennis today said to Mr. Wilson, "Do you think I'm good at being bad or bad at being good?"
Oh, that's a question.
Okay, that's a good question.
What came first, the egg or the chicken? Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I do have a little
poem
back to back in honor of my late great mother.
Okay.
And I look back, I think I might have done this on her birthday in December, but it involves my prayer list.
Okay.
My prayer book is long. It's all in my head. I don't pray for the living, just to the dead. If I know you and you part this earth, on my prayer list, you will gain a berth. Without calling out all the names, you might call it the Jeff Lynch Hall of Fame. I think those of us who are above watch those of us below. They do more than send their love to those that they know. They have the inside track with the Almighty One. He gives them a choice to get some things done. Many have been gone for a good many years. I'd like to think my prayers give them heavenly tears. I can almost hear them say, Goodness, Jeff thought of me today. That he still keeps me in his heart is the sweetest part. So, when in a big pine box, they do put me in, send a little prayer my way every Sunday. And then I wrote a sequel on June 24th, 2021, when my mother passed away at age 89.
Okay.
Another new saint. This is my prayer list, part 2. Another new saint has been sent heaven's way. Barbara Ann Etall Lynch went up there today. This pretty Lebanese lass joins family and friends at last. Daughter, sister, cousin, wife, mother, aunt, Grammy, and friend, loving and loyal to the end. We will all miss her here, especially Tom, her husband dear. From her heavenly birth, she will look over us on earth. For all of us, this is a huge plus.
Very good. Yep. Very, very good.
Nice. I got her up there.
All right. Awesome. So we got a few minutes now, so we're gonna do our this day in history. Sammy, I don't know what's wrong with our monitors, but they keep flashing on and off.
I went out of
Chuck,
7.
you're right about that.
We have 7 choices today. I went 6 and 3.
All right.
2 of them are the bonus, and they are for fact bonuses, and I expect you guys to get both of them. Please
Pressure's
don't let me
on.
down.
Pressure's on.
Here we go. Henry VIII was crowned King of England. His wife, Catherine of Aragon, was crowned Queen Consort.
Henry VIII, 1684.
1592.
1509.
Oh, dang it.
You got the Century
would I
Award.
know
You're the
any
only
of
one that
that
got the
crap?
Century. That's good. The Southeast Asian country of Siam changed its name to blank for the bonus. What did Siam change?
Missouri. I don't know.
Syria.
Oh, wait.
You're in the wrong part of the world.
Saigon.
Siam, over there in Southeast Asia.
Saigon.
Siam changed to Thailand.
Oh.
It reverted to Siam in 1945. I'm not telling you, we want to know when it first went to Siam. It reverted to Siam in 45, then became Thailand once again in 49. But when did it go from Siam to Thailand?
1915.
1908.
1939.
That's the year my daddy was born.
Okay. Communist forces cut off all land and water routes between West Germany and West Berlin, prompting the Western Allies to organize the Berlin Airlift.
1951.
Let's say 1945.
48.
48.
I got it.
Okay. Okay, there's a bonus available here for you. Please get it. The Space Shuttle Challenger, carrying America's first woman in space, blank, coasted to a safe landing at Edwards Air Force Base in California. First woman in space. First
Sally Ride.
America's first.
That's Sally Ride.
I have no idea.
Right,
Booyah.
Ride, Sally
And what
Ride.
year was that?
64.
73.
83.
Oh.
Dang.
Good for
Here
her.
we go. Women in Saudi Arabia were allowed behind the wheel for the first time as the world's last remaining ban on female drivers was formally lifted.
And our last one was 1980.
Last one was 83.
83 was your last one.
Those
Yeah.
poor women.
Yeah, even after 83.
84.
88.
I picked 2010. 2018.
Dude.
What? Can you
Those
believe that?
poor girls.
How come we don't remember that?
Yeah, really. That's crazy.
Okay. A 12-story condominium building collapsed in Surfside, Florida, killing 98 people.
2022.
2021.
2021.
Oh my.
Oh, yeah.
Way to be right there with it, Sam. And do you remember all the controversy about the construction
And the pool
quality
down there, but that was awful. Imagine, you know that. Well, I'll let
you
you
own a
finish.
nice condo and that happens to
Oh.
you? Jeez.
Yeah.
In Dobbs, final one. In Dobbs versus Jackson, Women's Health Organization versus Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 to remove constitutional protection for abortion that had been in place since 1973's Roe versus Wade. I'm not giving a bonus for that. Everybody knows
Right.
that.
Yeah. 2023.
2022.
2022.
Yes.
No, I got it. So 5 and 4 today. Is that the last one?
That's
3
it.
and 4.
Yeah.
6 and 3.
So a couple of things in our closing minutes here. Speaking of the collapse of that condo,
Yeah.
over the weekend there was a hot air balloon. Well, there's something I will never do.
Saw
Two
that.
things well, more than two, but two notable things I will never do in my life: jump out of an airplane, not doing it, or get in an hot air balloon. And the reason for the hot air balloon is because, and this is one of many that have happened over the years. These people, it shows them getting in this hot air balloon, and there's I think 20 something of them, and it shows them shooting the fire up into the balloon and all that gets it going, and so and the families that are not going on there are taking pictures and all that, and then it's like the Challenger. Remember how the families are watching it and it explodes up there?
Right.
This happened, and so these people are talking as they're videoing it, and then it catches on fire, and you see a guy, presumably a guy, holding on to the bottom, hanging on, and then another person on the other side of it climbs out and falls, and they're who knows, 1,000 feet up in the air, if not higher, and that person falls, and then the guy hanging falls, and these family members are saying, "Well, what is happening?" And they're in Brazil, so they're broken English, and then it all catches on fire, and
Right.
it breaks free because the balloon is shredded and falls to the ground and kills them all, or not all of them. Actually, some survived, and the only way you could survive something like that is, first of all, the thing was on fire, and some of those people that were falling were on fire, but you had to land on somebody else.
Exactly.
But but I ain't if I'm in it, remind me if you and I and Sammy are ever in a hot air balloon and they're struggling with it on the ground, getting that fire going in the right way, just say let's get off, let's get out, and yet those people, that was the end of their life.
They said they didn't know how the fire started, and my guess is they'll never know. And I'm
All the
just
more reason not to get in a hot air balloon. If I'm going to die, I would like to know why. Anyway, thank you for being with us today. We really enjoy you being here. Again, we will not be here next Tuesday, but we will be here this Thursday. I also want to remind you, we are have taken our stuff national. So under or on Substack.com, which for those of you that don't know, Substack is much like a X or even a Facebook. It's different, but the same concept. You can go there, find people's content you want to read, and you can weigh in on it and all that sort of thing. For $5 a month, you get content that Jeff and I and Sammy provide. We're very happy and proud with it. We really haven't marketed it yet, and we're seeing some small growth, but we're going to be starting to market it this week. We're excited about that, but please feel free to join us. Go to Substack.com, search Grit and Good News, and you'll see us there. And all you got to do is hit subscribe, and it'll prompt you, and it's $5 a month.
And if you get it anytime before next Friday, when we'll have our next one, it comes out on Monday and Friday.
Right, yep.
We were damn near prophetic
Yeah.
in what today's columns are about. His column and my poem are talking about what would happen if the regime fell in Iran.
Yeah.
And we did not know what was going to. I read this on Monday. I go, well, it looks like you wrote this too late or something.
Yeah, there is that thought is that, well, we were just a day or two late, but the idea is that we do write multiple columns, multiple poems. Sammy has links that he provides. It comes out on Monday, as Jeff just said. You get an email on Monday morning and Friday morning. Today, you got a column that talks about mine was titled "Clarity." We need clarity, and this message is clear. What Trump did. So thank you for being here. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Jeffrey.
And as always, make it a great day and put a smile on somebody's face today.